of course, December 7th, it is the 75th anniversary of the Pearl Harbor attacks. Now, later this month, Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe will be visiting the memorial with President Obama. Ralph Peters is here. Ralph, should Prime Minister Abe apologize for the attacks? We hear that he is not going to. Should he?
Well, previous prime ministers of Japan should have apologized. And while I am glad on one level that Abe is finally going, the first Japanese prime minister to do so, to the Arizona Memorial to Pearl Harbor, remember, Stuart, this is only happening now because Obama went to Hiroshima first and established a moral equivalence. There is no moral equivalence. The Japanese, lest we forget, not only attacked us at Pearl Harbor, they slaughtered, tortured, raped their way across China, the Philippines, Indochina. Their atrocities against our prisoners of war were monstrous. I mean, they were the ISIS of their day, except that they were on a much grander scale. And to imagine that us dropping those atomic bombs, as Obama seems to imagine them, was a war crime, an atrocity, when it ended the war, saved hundreds of thousands of Allied lives that an invasion, a ground invasion of the home islands of Japan would have cost, and saved millions of Japanese lives. Obama establishing that moral equivalency was a disgrace. But that's all that enabled Abe to do this now. So it's bittersweet at best.
Okay, got it. Next one for you. President Obama says he is the only president to serve 2 terms during wartime. Roll that tape.
For 8 years that I've been in office, there has not been a day when a terrorist organization or some radicalized individual was not plotting to kill Americans. And on January 20th, I will become the first president of the United States to serve 2 full terms during a time of war.
Ralph, it seems to me we should point out that we are still fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan and other parts of the world. Those wars are not ended. And
President Obama, who is clearly delusional, who lives in a mythical kingdom of Obamaness, he told us before that the wars were all over. He was ending them. You know, ISIS was a JV team. Remember all that? Under his inept, if not malignant, regime in Washington, we have seen Islamist terrorism and other threats come back with a vengeance. Remember, when Obama took office, Iraq was convalescing. Al-Qaeda was gasping. It was all but dead. ISIS didn't exist. The Middle East was in relative peace, and there was real progress in Afghanistan. Now, look at the Middle East today. Syria, Iraq, the Persian Gulf where sailors are taking prisoners. In Afghanistan, the Taliban have made a startling comeback. We've got Libya, we've got Somalia. I mean, this guy is leaving the president-elect the worst legacy of any president leaving another in our history, including James Buchanan, who bequeathed Lincoln the Civil War.
Well, I think we should leave it at that, because that's a pretty strong statement, Ralph. And we appreciate you being here, as always. Ralph Peters.